Hello, welcome back. In this video, we're going to learn about anonymous classes. Anonymous classes are those that you create by implementing an interface, but you don't necessarily create a class with a specific name or something. Let's go ahead and try to create one and see how they work and then see how useful they can be. Let's right click in the package and create a new class. We're going to create something called a machine. Well, actually, let's create an interface. Let's go ahead and create a new interface and say machine, hit finish. And in the interface, we're going to define two methods. So public void start and then public void stop, right? So this is basically a machine interface which can be implemented by any machine. Could be a car, could be a manufacturing plant machine, and all of them would need a start and stop, right? So those are the methods that the machine interface declares. And now we're going to create a new class and let's just call it machine test. We'll create our main method, hit finish. Now let's say you just want to create one car, right? One car object. You don't need multiple car objects. You just need one car object and you want to be able to call the start and stop on that car object, right? One thing you can do is you can create a public class car that implements machine and then you can define the methods, right? Start and stop. Because if you implement an interface, you have to define all the methods that are declared in the interface, right? To create a concrete class. So you could do that and then you can then create a car object. Now that is a shorthand way to do it. You can type car or machine, right? Car. You can always use the interface name, right, to declare the variable. But then you cannot really do a new machine, right? If you say new machine, Java will not like it because interface cannot be instantiated. You need to create a class. This is where anonymous classes comes in. You can if you type machine and then hit control space. Eclipse gives you an option, machine anonymous inner type, right? Just select that and see what happens. So this is what an anonymous class is. You had just created a class by implementing an interface, but there is no name for the class, right? Because all we are saying is machine, which is the interface name. So we didn't give any specific name for the class, but we had just created the class. Sorry. And we had also instantiated it. So we are not only declaring the class, we are actually instantiating the class as well and assigning to the car variable, right? So this is kind of like the shorthand way of creating a class and instantiating it. Where it helps is if you don't necessarily want to create a class and create multiple objects, all you want is just one object to do what you want. You could go ahead and define it like this. So the code is much cleaner, easy to follow. For anybody looking at this code, they can see that, okay, you have created an anonymous class, right? A class right here by implementing the interface, and you are also overriding the methods that are declared in the interface, right? So you are also following all the rules where you are going to give concrete implementation. So here you can say system dot out dot println and say car stopped. And same way here, you can say system dot out dot println car started. So we have given, I need a semicolon here. So we have given concrete implementations of the methods. We had also created the class and instantiated it. And now um, you need to pay close attention to this syntax because we had Eclipse automatically created, but the syntax is very important. You are doing a new machine with the two parentheses and a curly brace, right? Because you're defining basically a class. So anything that you define within the class, all the methods go into a curly brace that defines the class. And you just define the methods in here, which is not any different. But then you need to end this with a semicolon because although we are creating a class here, this necessarily is a single statement, right? All statements in Java end with a semicolon, so this semicolon is also important. You cannot delete it, you'll get an error. So you need to pay close attention to the syntax. And then here you can just say car dot start, and then say car dot stop. So since we had already instantiated the class and we have the car variable, right? You can call the methods on that object. So let's go ahead and right click, run as Java application, and you get car started, car stopped. So we were able to declare the class without any name, override the methods, and basically call those methods, right? Um, this this is going to be very handy when you code um, mostly the UI screens where you have buttons and stuff. If you have a button on a particular screen, that button does one and only one job, right? It can do whatever it is coded to do. Now, in those cases, which is called event handling, in those cases, this will come really handy because for each button, you don't necessarily need to define a class and instantiate it. You could just define whatever that button needs to do right there where you define that method, right, or declare that button. So in event handling, anonymous classes will come in really handy. So it's really important to grasp this concept, make sure you understand it. You can add more methods here and then try to override them here, but make sure you understand anonymous classes very well because it will be very helpful. So that's basically anonymous classes. I would really encourage you to add more methods, try to override them, and see how they are called or perform. But that's basically anonymous classes. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.